asking why Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were even there.
They did this publicity stunt last night where they went on SNL and Ryan Reynolds made this silly joke, this really silly joke.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds may have just made the biggest PR error of their careers. After showing up at SNL's 50th anniversary event, Hollywood A-listers are reportedly turning their backs on them. Why? Because their appearance raised one major question. If Blake is truly struggling as much as she claims, why does she look completely unbothered in public?
So Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were the hot topic of conversation among guests at Saturday Night Live's.
This isn't just a bad look. It's a golden opportunity for Justin Baldoni's legal team. Lively's public outing plays right into their hands, making it easier than ever to argue that her emotional distress claims don't hold up. And now, some insiders are even whispering
Justin Baldoni's lawyer has some choice words about it all.
that she could be facing serious legal consequences. Of all the times to step back into the spotlight, why did Blake and Ryan choose now? Right in the middle of a legal battle so chaotic it could be its own SNL skit? This isn't just about bad timing. This might be the moment that turns Hollywood against them for good. If Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds wanted to make their legal situation even worse, mission accomplished. Not only did they show up at SNL's 50th anniversary event in the middle of a scandal, but Ryan actually made a joke about the lawsuit. And the most shocked person in the room? Blake herself.
Oh, hey, Ryan Reynolds. Hey. Ryan Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
This was their first public appearance, since Lively filed her civil rights complaint, so why would they step onto a comedy stage like nothing was happening? Most people facing serious harassment allegations and multi-million-dollar lawsuits would lay low, seek legal advice, and maybe, just maybe, avoid cracking jokes about it. But instead, Blake and Ryan apparently thought, you know what this scandal needs? A punchline. But that punchline has completely backfired.
And it's it's SNL 50-year anniversary. And or Saturday night, whatever. Ryan Reynolds stands up and she's like, how's it going? He's like, good. Why? What have you heard? And it was all, ha, 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 ha.
The backlash is massive, and now Baldoni's legal team has been handed a golden opportunity. From a courtroom perspective, this is a disaster for Lively. Her appearance at SNL could be used to argue that she isn't actually suffering as much as she claims. And Reynolds joking about the case? That only makes things worse. Baldoni's lawyers must be celebrating, because now they have visual proof that could weaken Lively's entire argument. And if that happens, this case could take a very unexpected turn. Blake Lively might want to play the victim now, but let's not forget, she started this war. Lively has allegedly claimed that the backlash over it ends with us has caused her severe emotional distress. She's reportedly struggling with online harassment from fans who think the movie is a complete disaster. And honestly, they're not wrong. From the questionable casting to the bizarre wardrobe choices, the entire production has been criticized. And guess what? A lot of that blame is falling on Lively. Insiders say she refused to follow the director's instructions, which not only hurt the film's quality, but allegedly caused extreme stress for the director himself. Now, there are whispers that this behind-the-scenes drama led to the film's poor production.
I told them that I wasn't in the best place. I told them that I was exhausted, that I haven't given myself time to recover.
And it's all coming back to haunt her. And here's where it gets worse with It Starts With Us already in development. Many are wondering if Lively will even return. Some think the studio is ready to move on and find a better actress, while others believe she's looking for an exit herself. Either way, Lively is drowning in negative press, and Hollywood is taking notice. At the start, she was running the show, controlling the narrative, using PR tactics to bury Baldoni. But the moment he gained the upper hand, suddenly she's the victim. Funny how that works. And just when you thought things couldn't get worse for Blake Lively, an old interview resurfaced, and let's just say, it's not doing her any favors. In the leaked clip, Lively proudly admits to sidelining directors and taking full creative control of her projects, not for artistic vision, not for the integrity of the film, but for her own personal satisfaction. This revelation only adds fuel to the fire. Fans and industry insiders are now questioning whether It Ends With Us turned into a disaster because of Lively's interference. If she was calling the shots instead of the director, then maybe the film's failure isn't just bad luck. It's a direct result of her actions. Hollywood is ruthless when it comes to protecting its reputation. And now, with this interview making the rounds, Lively isn't just battling Baldoni in court, she's battling her own words. And just when you thought this scandal couldn't get any messier, Justin Baldoni dropped 168 pages of receipts on his website. We're talking raw footage, text messages, and even voicemails between him and Lively. The behind-the-scenes clips show a different side of the story, one that completely contradicts Lively's allegations. Baldonis' emotional interviews only add to the doubt, making it harder and harder to believe that he was the villain in this situation. If anything, this so-called Hollywood predator is being accused of what exactly? Smiling too much? Helping too many people? Not being a sleazebag in an industry crawling with them? The receipts don't paint him as a monster. They paint him as a guy caught in the crossfire of a Hollywood power play. And speaking of power plays, let's talk about Lively's partner in crime, Ryan Reynolds, the internet's favorite walking meme, the goofy nice guy, the king of self-deprecating jokes. But behind the scenes, some are saying he's the real mastermind, pulling Machiavellian moves to protect Lively's crumbling reputation. Blake Lively, once seen as the sweet, picture-perfect Instagram mom, is now being exposed as Hollywood's ultimate career assassin. And this time, her target might not go down so easily. It's no surprise that Hollywood is turning its back on Blake Lively. The moment the negative press started piling up, celebrities began unfollowing her on Instagram, including some of her biggest supporters. Even Colleen Hoover, the author of It Ends With Us, has seemingly distanced herself. And when the very writer of the book you're starring suddenly wipes all traces of you from her social media, that's when you know things are bad. But Lively isn't going down without a fight. At least not publicly. She's playing the classic damsel in distress, claiming she's under immense emotional stress from the backlash and ongoing lawsuit. And it's not just any lawsuit. Baldoni has hit her with a $400 million defamation suit. And from the way things are looking, he might just win. Naturally, Lively is scrambling.
Contradictory. I mean, that behavior contradicts your argument that you want a fair trial and you don't want this to play out in the court of public opinion, yet you're standing in front of a room of celebrities on a national television show.
She insists she's being harassed by Baldoni, his legal team, and even fans. But here's the real question. If she's truly in such emotional turmoil, why did she show up at SNL's 50th anniversary? Why was she smiling, mingling, and acting like nothing was wrong? People in distress don't throw on designer gowns and attend star-studded events. They don't walk the red carpet looking carefree while facing a legal battle that could end their career.
I'm unaware of anybody, frankly, whose wife has been sexually harassed and has made jokes about that type of situation.
And let's talk about Ryan Reynolds' tone-deaf joke at SNL. Legal analyst Brian Friedman had plenty to say about it, pointing out how relaxed and happy the couple seemed, despite the lawsuit. If Lively's claims of distress were true, why would Reynolds be out here cracking jokes about the case? The contradiction is glaring, and Hollywood is not buying the act. From a legal standpoint, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds may have just handed Justin Baldoni's team a golden opportunity.
I don't think anybody who's been accused of heinous, arguably what are crimes, is on vacation. I think that he is trying to gather with his family and get some semblance of peace.
If Lively was truly suffering from severe emotional distress, as she claims in her lawsuit, why would she be joking around on live television? Most people in the middle of a multi-million-dollar legal battle would be strategizing with their lawyers, not cracking jokes at a star-studded event. If you're claiming emotional distress, it helps if you actually look distressed. Instead, Lively and Reynolds waltzed into SNL's 50th anniversary, like it was just another casual night out, laughing, socializing, enjoying the spotlight. Every move they made screamed unbothered. And from a legal perspective, that's a disaster. Reynolds' involvement makes things even worse. He's known for carefully calculated PR moves, so this wasn't just some spontaneous date night. His comedic persona only trivializes the situation further, making it appear as if Lively isn't taking her own allegations seriously. And then there's the stark contrast between Lively and Baldoni. She has her Hollywood A-list husband standing beside her, helping her navigate the storm. Meanwhile, Baldoni is completely alone. He doesn't have a high-profile support system, no major celebrities rallying behind him, just himself against Lively's PR machine. Legal analyst Brian Friedman even mocked Lively and Reynolds' carefree demeanor at SNL, pointing out how their behavior could damage Lively's case. During an interview, the host brought up a crucial question. While Lively and Reynolds were laughing it up at SNL, where was Baldoni? Reports indicate that Justin Baldoni has taken a month-long trip to Hawaii with his wife and children.
Justin, if I'm not mistaken, is on vacation right now with his kids in Hawaii. Is he still there? Do you speak to him?
I do speak to him. I speak to him often. I wouldn't call it vacation.
But according to Brian Friedman, this isn't some luxurious getaway, it's a retreat. A way for Baldoni to escape the overwhelming stress of these allegations and find peace with his family. And here's where the contrast becomes even sharper. While Lively and Reynolds are making headlines for their tone-deaf SNL appearance, Baldoni is choosing solitude. Instead of rubbing shoulders with Hollywood elites, he's stepping away from the chaos, distancing himself from the drama. Many agree that Justin Baldoni is in desperate need of support. Unlike Blake Lively, he's not out here smiling for cameras or using his situation to score sympathy points. Instead of turning this into a Hollywood spectacle, he's taken a step back, making him look like the real victim in this messy legal battle. And let's not forget the jury factor. If this case ever goes to trial, public perception will play a huge role. Baldoni's lawyers could argue that Lively and Reynolds are more focused on playing the celebrity victim card than proving actual wrongdoing. They could claim that Lively's media stunts are just an attempt to manipulate public opinion, rather than letting the legal system do its job. Then there's the timing. While Lively was stepping onto the SNL stage, Baldoni was in Hawaii, trying to pick up the pieces after being hit with serious allegations. The contrast is staggering. One person dodging paparazzi, trying to rebuild his life, while the other is laughing under studio lights. If you had to bet on who's telling the truth, which one looks more believable? If Blake Lively's team wanted to push the narrative that she was isolated and vulnerable, showing up arm in arm with Ryan Reynolds at a star-studded event completely destroyed that claim.
But now with lawsuits and texts and all the things that she put out there, Justin is allowed to defend himself. He has, and he's been doing a way better job than your maximum effort. They showed up to try to make light, to sort of poke fun and seem likable and see everything's cool, guys, right? No, that's why they intended.
Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni's choice to step away from the spotlight and spend time in Hawaii with his family only boosts his credibility. And if Baldoni's legal team wants to use the SNL appearance against Lively, they'll likely demand all media footage from the event, including behind-the-scenes interactions. Why? Because sources say Lively and Reynolds didn't just show up. They stayed for over an hour after the show ended, casually mingling with other celebrities. During that time, the couple reportedly took selfies, chatted with actors, cast and crew, and even left the studio with Paul McCartney. They skipped the after-party, but only because it was already too late. Fans cheered their presence, while behind the scenes, Hollywood insiders couldn't stop whispering about the lawsuit. Even Dakota Johnson was spotted laughing and chatting with the couple. But when Baldoni's name came up, sources claim Lively and Reynolds either brushed it off or joked about it before making their exit. This completely contradicts Blake Lively's claim that she's too emotionally distressed to even leave her house due to the Hollywood drama. And with so much media coverage from the event, it's not just speculation, there's proof. Brian Friedman could easily request social media posts, news footage, and even behind-the-scenes clips from that night. Since Lively and Reynolds weren't exactly hiding from cameras, there's likely more than enough evidence to support his case. And if that's not enough, expert testimony could be used to argue that her SNL appearance directly undermines her emotional distress claims. Think about it. How can someone claim they can even function due to severe emotional distress, yet show up to one of the biggest comedy events of the year, laughing, socializing, and cracking jokes?
Mingling and taking selfies with other actors, cast, and crew. We're told they finally left the studio with Paul McCartney before they skipped the after party and went home since it was already late.
If Baldoni's legal team frames it right, they could paint Lively as hypocritical, using PR tactics to manipulate public perception while simultaneously undermining her own allegations. But the real twist? Hollywood's response. The industry loves tearing people down over past mistakes, or even baseless rumors. Just ask Johnny Depp. Yet, when it comes to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, two of Hollywood's most well-connected celebrities, the silence is absolutely deafening because sources say Lively and Reynolds didn't just show up. They stayed for over an hour after the show ended, casually mingling with other celebrities. During that time, the couple reportedly took selfies, chatted with actors, cast and crew, and even left the studio with Paul McCartney. They skipped the after-party, but only because it was already too late. Fans cheered their presence. While behind the scenes, Hollywood insiders couldn't stop whispering about the lawsuit. Even Dakota Johnson was spotted laughing and chatting with the couple. But when Baldonis' name came up, sources claim Lively and Reynolds either brushed it off or joked about it before making their exit. This completely contradicts Blake Lively's claim that she's too emotionally distressed to even leave her house due to the Hollywood drama. And with so much media coverage from the event, it's not just speculation, there's proof.
This is your first appearance to go out and about after all the drama to show up on Scarlett Johansson's husband's show. Colin Jost, her husband, a big deal, big head writer over at Saturday Night Live, and they decided to go into that.
Brian Friedman could easily request social media posts, news footage, and even behind-the-scenes clips from that night. Since Lively and Reynolds weren't exactly hiding from cameras, there's likely more than enough evidence to support his case. And if that's not enough, expert testimony could be used to argue that her SNL appearance directly undermines her emotional distress claims. Think about it. How can someone claim they can even function due to severe emotional distress, yet show up to one of the biggest comedy events of the year, laughing, socializing, and cracking jokes? If Baldonis' legal team frames it right, they could paint Lively as hypocritical, using PR tactics to manipulate public perception while simultaneously undermining her own allegations.
Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds thing, and it's just, this is gold for content creators because there is this like dichotomy that exists between like Hollywood celebrities and then like content creators and podcasters.
But the real twist? Hollywood's response. The industry loves tearing people down over past mistakes, or even baseless rumors. Just ask Johnny Depp. Yet, when it comes to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, two of Hollywood's most well-connected celebrities, the silence is absolutely deafening. And as for Ryan Reynolds, he's never even hosted the show, has just guest starred in a few monologues. A Hall of Famer, sure, but let's pretend he's essential to the history of SNL. Maybe Lorne Michaels just couldn't do the 50th without them, but their lack of connection with SNL isn't even the weirdest part. This was their first public appearance since the controversy erupted, and they chose to make it on Scarlett Johansson's husband's show.
As to why Blake and Ryan appeared at the show, well, they battle it out in court with Baldoni over drama surrounding the movie It Ends With Us. Right.
Yes, that's Scarlett Johansson, the one who may or may not have a history with Ryan Reynolds. Johansson is married to SNL's head writer Colin Jost. So let's recap. Blake Lively, in the middle of a media firestorm, decided to make her grand return on her husband's ex-husband's show. That's not just messy, that's Hall of Fame level pettiness. This move makes one thing crystal clear. Lively is panicking. She is desperate for Hollywood and the media to be on her side. But why? And more importantly, why did her PR scheme fail? Their plan seemed simple enough. Torpedo Justin Baldoni's career with serious accusations. The claims, sexual misconduct, and fat-shaming. The strategy? Rely on Hollywood's old system as scandal erupts. The accused gets canceled, and the accuser gains control of whatever project is at stake. Classic. If things had gone according to Lively's plan, she was supposed to take over the director's chair for It Ends With Us, while simultaneously cementing herself as a Me Too movement victim. That might have worked years ago, but now, not so much. Unlike the days when traditional media simply echoed whatever narrative powerful people fed them, things have changed. Independent creators, podcasters, and alternative journalists don't just take accusations at face value. If something seems off, like a conveniently timed accusation or a suspiciously perfect expose, these new media voices dig deeper. And that means the usual cancel culture tactics don't always work anymore. High-profile cases of false allegations, like the Amber Heard trial, have completely changed the game. People aren't so quick to believe every accusation anymore.
People were sort of just noticing that Blake Lively was not the nicest person. Like she was a mean girl, tone deaf, or things that were...
Instead of blindly accepting claims, the public now questions the timing, the evidence, and the motives behind them. And if Baldoni had real online support, he wouldn't even need mainstream media to clear his name. He could completely bypass them and take his story straight to the public. 15 or 20 years ago, this wouldn't have been possible. Back then, an A-list name was enough to guarantee box office success. Now, not so much. Just ask Disney how those billion-dollar flops are working out. Even megastars like The Rock and Leonardo DiCaprio can't single-handedly save a movie if audiences just don't care. Hollywood isn't in control anymore. Traditional media used to be the gatekeeper of entertainment and news, deciding what stories got told and who got to stay in the spotlight. But now, platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and independent media have flipped the script. Anyone with a mic and a camera can become a global influencer without Hollywood's approval. Just take Joe Rogan, for example. His podcast reaches millions of listeners per episode, dwarfing most late-night hosts and mainstream journalists. People trust his unfiltered discussions way more than some A-lister reading scripted activism off a teleprompter. And when it comes to Blake and Ryan, let's just say they're getting roasted. One independent creator has been tearing them apart in a viral video series, completely mocking their PR missteps and shifting public perception even further in Baldoni's favor. Because while celebrities might have millions of followers, how many of those fans are actually paying attention? Meanwhile, independent creators are building loyal fan bases that not only listen, but actively spread their message. And it's not just one or two voices. Conservative firebrands like Candace Owens and Megyn Kelly have also jumped into the conversation, posting videos in support of Baldoni. Their audiences? Highly engaged, highly vocal, and ready to push back against Hollywood's usual narratives. So while Lively and Reynolds might have banked on their star power to control the story, they didn't count on one thing: the rise of independent media. And right now, it's not working in their favor. There was a time when people got their news from mainstream outlets like CNN, Fox News, or the New York Times, but not anymore. Now, independent journalists like Matt Taibbi, Glenn Greenwald, and the team at Breaking Points are breaking the biggest stories with more transparency and credibility than the legacy media ever could. That's exactly why the New York Times' so-called expose on Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni isn't landing the way Lively hoped. The article? A clear PR stunt designed to destroy Baldoni's reputation. But instead of taking him down, it completely backfired, triggering massive backlash against Lively and exposing cracks in her entire campaign. And now, the real countdown begins. March 9th, 2026. The day Lively and Reynolds are set to face the court and answer for the defamation allegations against Baldoni. Their nervousness? Off the charts. And with Hollywood refusing to rally behind them, their carefully crafted PR strategies are falling apart in real time. The SNL event was just the beginning of their downfall. And trust me, this saga is far from over. More twists are coming, and they're only getting wilder.